Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Chaile Time. Toby, welcome.
Thank you, Chico.
How are you?
I'm very well. What you been up to?
Here and there, I've dealt with one interesting case this week.
Yeah?
There's a gentleman who's driving a company car and he'll be driving not less than 120. Whether it's on a 60 zone, whether it's on a 80 zone, whether it's on a 100 zone. So because of my experience, and with the logistics, so I know how to read.
Logistics, yeah.
I know how to read the tracker report and the speed report.
But is he driving in a truck?
No.
It's just a vehicle.
VW Polo.
Okay.
150, 145, 170. He was involved in a road rage where he slapped someone's car and say, "I will kill you," using those kind of words, but he denied anyway saying those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting. You know what's more interesting? Mm-hmm. Some companies are very nice.
Why?
They don't want to dismiss him.
They don't want to dismiss him?
No.
It's probably because the employer, they're the ones saying, "Hey, you must hurry up," no? He gets a warning if he's late.
So they don't want to dismiss it. It's very interesting because in my time when I was still working there,
Yeah, logistics, yeah.
if you are doing that, first strike, second strike, third strike, you're out, because it's not only that you're putting your life in danger, but you're putting life of other road users in danger. It's a bad thing. Like, we do have laws, I'm a very cautious driver, even if
You're a slow driver. You're like, I've seen it. It's like, oh. Anyway, that doesn't matter. But listen,
you've been
on this thing you just say now,
yes,
where the employer don't want to dismiss him. I mean, that's gross misconduct and it is dismissible offences, yes. Okay? But even in road freight, I've done many hearings in road freight, Seppo. And I know you used to work for a logistics company, but how often do the employers put the staff in hearings for speaking on their phone? But it's the bosses phoning them.
No, that I've fought it for the drivers with the employer saying, but control office
speeding. You put in a hearing when you speed, but while you're driving slow, they phone you. Hey, where are you?
We need that load to be delivered.
Come. But when they don't like you, then suddenly they go to the tracker reports for the last 3 months. Oh, yeah, you were speeding.
Are you spilling the beans now?
Oh, there. You look at the cameras. Oh, there you are on your phone.
He says when they don't like.
And in every hearing, the staff say, "Oh, but the boss phoned me. I was just talking to the boss."
And here's the proof.
And the boss say what? No, but you're not supposed to answer our phone calls. And when you park, then you can return the calls. But only when they don't like you. But you know what, Nat? This week I saw, I can't remember who the lady was, but this lady was on some new radio station or something. But anyway, she made a comment which apparently offended people, and she apologized later that she offended people. But she made a comment that, South African people, we are unemployable.
DJ Zinhle.
I don't say names.
No,
I
but
can't remember, but now if you can remember, you mustn't say it loud.
It's DJ Zinhle. She's a public figure.
Okay.
She's a well-known
I can't
DJ.
remember the
She's
name.
a well-known
Anyway,
DJ. Yeah.
But no, I can't say what I want to say.
Sorry.
Because I want to lambast at her now.
Okay, sorry. No, you can.
DJ, please forgive me.
Everyone went on her.
But the thing I was
on
thinking
Twitter,
about now,
on X.
because we're in labor law, I was thinking, she, like many other employers, are complaining about the people, but they never consider that they're the problem.
Oh, so now you are also going on her. Okay. Why are you saying that?
No, I'm not saying she's the problem. Because of our context,
yes,
and what we experience. How many times the problem is actually the employer complaining about the employee, but the problem is the employer. No, I have a word for it, the assholes. Some employers are plain, and Afrikaans hulle sê, poepel. It really is.
It went far.
But they discriminate. They terminate you because you're on maternity leave. We're getting later to that case.
Wait.
You see.
Can I pour
the
cold waters
unreasonable,
on
they
that
don't
one?
pay you. That they let you. I know employers now. They will make you suffer. They will let you work so much overtime, and they won't pay you a cent. You leave your employment, you get dismissed, or you resign. They will not pay you out your accrued annual leave. How many employers, let's make it practical. How many employers, they can't remember the instructions they give their staff, and later they discipline the staff for not doing what they said. I've got clients like that. It's huge issues. I must every week give warnings for them failing to adhere to the instructions of the employer. But then the staff told me, he never told me that. Or he told me something completely different. Because you're the boss, must now,
Yeah.
And then we can't find, our staff are not employable. But the problem is you, man, not the staff.
Yeah, but I think I'll be in her defense on that one. I don't think she was meaning it in a bad way, but well, we'll touch on that one some other time. What are we talking about today?
Okay, yeah, let's get to what we're talking about today. We love employees, we love employers. Ultimately, we're there to nurture a good employment relationship.
100%.
So we're going to highlight employees who are difficult, and we've been doing that consistently. But also employers, sometimes you need to look at yourself, and ask yourself, what are you up to? Man in the mirror.
100%.
So what we're talking about this week? Okay, look, we had a question we got our own HR network. We're an HR community of just over 2,000 people already. We call ourselves the Harmony People Network. And yesterday, somebody in Cape Town asked a question. Hi, how do I handle an employee who waits for his warning to expire and then transgresses again in the same manner? The employee has been on a final twice already. I would think that this needs to go to a disciplinary inquiry because there is a clear pattern and he then improves behavior and then as soon as it expires, transgresses. Charged, not following a reasonable instruction, refuses. Look, I understand there's the issue of giving a comprehensive final warning, or the other word for that is an umbrella final warning, where you give a final warning for misconduct, typically when somebody abuses various forms of misconduct, but that is not really applicable here. So if you immediately were thinking about that, that's probably not the answer here, because even a final umbrella final warning, I suppose the problem here is he will just wait for it to expire anyway. So the issue here is expired warnings. What do we do with that? Can we use it in disciplinary proceedings? Can you use expired warnings in arbitration? What do you think? Answer for yourself, or ask yourself the question and answer the question. Do you think an employer in a disciplinary hearing and dotted line in arbitration can use expired warnings against an employee? So let's say this person's got, as an example, an expired final warning that expired last month for unauthorized absenteeism as an example. Now he's absent again, but your blood is boiling. You want to fire this person because you always wait for the warning to expire, you see. Can you put him in a hearing and still use that expired warning against him? And maybe dismiss him even on the strength of it. What do you think, Chaile? Oh, no, I'm not going to ask you. That's dumb. Because then you're giving my answers away. I shouldn't ask you the question.
I don't know the answer.
Oh.
But someone has brought a case law in my direction at some point.
Yeah, but don't.
I'm not gonna.
You know the answer with the case law. Yeah. I want to read the case law now.
No, I'm not gonna say anything about the case law. I just wanted to say someone somewhere along the way.
Yeah, that's me, man.
My mentor, you see, he brought the case law into light because I was preparing for a case, going for arbitration, and then I was also advised that those warnings, whether they expired or not, but he will give more into that.
Yeah. Let's go through the law quickly, the Code of Good Practice in terms of the Labor Relations Act. We have a bit of this is the section in dismissal law that actually deals with the concept more known as progressive discipline, if you can put it that way. The law actually doesn't use that word, but okay, it's found in Schedule 8.3, subsection 3 and 4. I'm only going to read parts of this. It says here that formal procedures do not have to be invoked every time a rule is broken or a standard is not met. Informal advice and correction is the best and most effective way for an employer to deal with minor violations of work discipline. Your informal disciplinary procedures, we call it counselings or informal chats. Repeated misconduct will warrant warnings, which themselves may be graded according to degrees of severity. More serious infringements or repeated misconduct may call for a final warning or other actions short of a dismissal. Dismissal should be reserved for cases for serious misconduct or repeated offences. Just the first sentence here of subsection 4. Generally, it is not appropriate to dismiss an employee for a first offence, except if the misconduct is serious and of such gravity that it makes a continued employment relationship intolerable. Examples of serious misconduct, and these are just examples, it doesn't mean this list is conclusive. Examples of serious misconduct, subject to the rule that each case should be judged on its own merits, are gross dishonesty or willful damage to the property of the employer, willful endangering of the safety of others, physical assault on an employer, a fellow employee, client or customer, and gross insubordination. You see here in the Code of Good Practice, Chaile, nowhere does it say a warning is valid for 6 months.
You will fight with people. I always try to explain that. But yeah, they give me a final and they never give me a verbal first, second, third, before. I'm like, which law does it say that? Yeah, no, the law says that. But I'm like, which one? Can you quote it for me? So
there's no law that says a final warning is valid for 12 months. Yeah. I wonder who started this thing in South Africa, the warning's got a time on it. I also do it. We all do it. Why? Not because the law says so, but because we do it.
Employees are going to hate you now because wherever they are, I don't know who told them, but somewhere.
But Chaile, let's just read this case quickly. This is a labor court case, no? Shoprite Checkers versus Ramdor. I'm giving good information. It's a good educational. I must send all my members invoices.
Yeah, no.
A free labor law training,
In Cape Town, they must pay.
Afrikaans, Transvaal. Je weet van Transvaal, no? Anyway, we're Blue betaal. Anyway, Shoprite Checkers versus Ramdor. What happened here, just in a nutshell, is this is a cashier that was repeatedly short, but small amounts, 20 Rand, 30 Rand, 40 Rand, and so. So she had a whole series of warnings, and a filed the warning, but it all expired. Eventually, they put in a hearing and dismissed her anyway. The CCMA found that because the warnings had lapsed, that the dismissal was substantively unfair. Okay, they took it on review at the Labour Court, and this is what the judge found. Furthermore, the first respondent had found that the second respondent had a clean disciplinary record. That is now the commissioner at the CCMA, who is the first respondent. Had found that the employee, the second respondent, had a clean disciplinary record, whereas she had in fact been disciplined on 5 occasions in the previous 2 years for failing to comply with prescribed procedures. The first respondent's finding that these warnings were irrelevant because they had lapsed was both factually incorrect and wrong in law. The lapsing of a warning does not extinguish the prior misconduct. So basically, your disciplinary record is your record for as long as you work there.
Yeah.
So practically, I had 2 instances myself. There was a company I represented a few years ago at in Tsenin at the MEIBC there. This was a branch manager and we dismissed him for insubordination and so forth, but he was previously on a hearing for the same, and then he only got a final written warning and it had lapsed. And he and his attorney argued that if a warning lapses, you can't use it in terms of progressive discipline. But what I lost focus on is that a dismissal, one of the elements of a substantively fair dismissal or unfair dismissal, is you have to look at the totality of the circumstances. And the entire disciplinary record is part of the totality of circumstances. So we mustn't be fixated on the principle of progressive discipline only. For a substantively fair dismissal, just in a nutshell, these are the elements that you look at. Okay, number 1 is the charge. Is there sufficient detail in the charge that it's not too vague? You don't have to write a book either, but are there sufficient detail in the charge that the employee can reasonably prepare for the inquiry and know what it's about? Case in point, don't just write theft. Because if I'm a habitual thief, I'm not going to know what you know as an employer. Is it the thing I stole yesterday or is it the thing I stole last week? Say maybe, look, I don't prefer charges that starts with theft. I would say gross dishonesty, maybe. In that you took company property without permission on this date. At least, and I know specifically, you know about the pen I stole last week, you see. So there must be sufficient detail. And secondly, your evidence and arguments, does it prove on the balance of probabilities that the person is guilty of the offense, okay? But then you need to justify why a dismissal is reasonable. There you look at, there's no clear and concise list, but some factors. Is a person nearing retirement age? Look at his personal circumstances. Look at this importance of the rule that was broken, but importantly, look at progressive discipline. Also, look at his totality of disciplinary record. And you ask yourself the question, if I view the totality of his disciplinary record, is his job worth saving? So if you were if let's say you're hearing for late coming, and you maybe have a warning or two for late coming, but you've got 20 other warnings for various forms of misconduct, you also look at that, not necessarily in the context of progressive discipline, but in the totality of his disciplinary record. Then you look at it objectively and ask yourself, is this person worth saving? His job worth saving? And then you look at other elements for substance also in terms of the prejudice, damages that's suffered by the employer, so on and so forth. So these are some of the factors. But as far as warnings is concerned, it's not only the principle of progressive discipline, it's also the totality of his entire disciplinary record. So that commissioner in the MEIBC case actually told me that I can't use lapse warnings. And then I read to him Chopra Checkers versus Ramdo, and in his arbitration award, he actually agreed and said sharp. Okay, but then also, and this is the lacquer one, I represented a certain Spar store, I'm not going to say which one, at CCMA Pretoria, also some time back, and they dismissed their tops manager, okay, but he's been working there for many years. I just want to find that provision here quickly. Yeah, there it is. And I remember I represented the employer, and he had his lawyer there. And you know, Tsepo, this was so funny. I used 10 years of expired warnings against this guy.
How many years?
10 years. He's been working there for like odd years.
So in 5 years, they couldn't see that this person is a habitual offender or whatever.
Yeah, but sometimes the employers like the people, then they just forgive, you know. I know of businesses that will give you warning. You did the hearing 2 weeks ago of one of our clients, you know, like, and you dismiss the person, he's still not dismissed. The employer is still applying his mind. You also had like 20 warnings. The same bloody thing.
Oh, I remember now.
Yeah. Your report says dismissed. The employer is still. When I ask him so, then he just look other way. I don't know what I'm going to do. You see, this is the thing. When you like the bloody person, no law is going to fire you.
It's the heart.
It's the heart. Anyway, in this Spar case, I thought that lawyer is going to get a heart attack. I already saw the foam coming out of his mouth. How he objected against me using 10 years of expired warnings against his client. Simple. The commissioner in his last paragraph made a statement. The applicant's disciplinary record was very bad, in that he had several expired warnings in his file. He was, however, on a valid final written warning also. And he upheld the fairness of the dismissal. So he took all those warnings into consideration and came to the conclusion that his disciplinary record is very poor. So you can use expired warnings against an employee in disciplinary proceedings. Now, as always, that is not the only factor you take into consideration. You have to look at the totality of the circumstances. But just because it's got expired warnings does not mean you cannot bring it into an inquiry. Absolutely, you bring it into an inquiry. We should actually stop this practice of putting times on there. I don't know where it's coming from.
So we must.
It's like this CCMA thing. You know, Schedule 8.4 says that when you put someone in a hearing, you must give them a reasonable notice. Where's this 48-hour notice thing coming from, man? Who said 48 hours? Yeah, maybe it's a case law. I've searched. I can't find it.
Also, this of putting in paper. Remember, I can just tell you that. We are charging you today. You must pitch on Friday for a disciplinary hearing.
You can.
But we must put in paper. Who came with that? We must put in paper so that we can. The thing is that we love proof. There must be proof that this was done. There must be physical proof. But now, take it taking my mind now in another direction, looking at what you said about this guy being there for 10 years and it's always being, and then the employer likes people so much. And the problem is the moment the employer gets hurtful, it's becoming our problem. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
The moment the employer gets hurt, they can like each other for 9.5 years. But on the 10th year, when the employer gets hurtful, he doesn't want to hear anything. He just want to get rid of this person. So you see now, also the employer sometimes.
Yeah, but you need to understand that, Seppo, also that ultimately, laws can only go so far. It really comes down to the relationship.
And relationships does come to an end.
Yeah. And from that perspective, it's probably mostly the employee's fault. Employees forget the employers are the one with the money. And if you want to keep your job, hulle sê in Afrikaans, jy moet gat kry, man. I don't know how to say this in English.
No, don't say it in English. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Don't say it in English. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm a Burki, so if I have to think English, I think of ask me, but I don't know if that's the correct translation.
Do not translate it.
But
it's
yeah,
fine.
if you're an employee, man, you must ask script to your employer. It's just there's no other way. The law, yeah, you maybe get some money in unfair dismissal, but the money you're going to eat it up within the first week. Then it's done. Then you're out of a job.
Then you're out of a
and then everybody knew you took your boss to the CCMA.
And it's there forever and ever.
It's there forever and ever. You see, this is the thing, né? Let me spook employees a bit. You take your employer to the CCMA, né? And you as an employee, you win the case. There's still an arbitration award. The new employer, your future employer, is not going to read the award and say, you were justified. He's just going to look at the heading. You took your previous employer to the CCMA. That's all he's going to see.
So now it's welcoming it's welcoming a problem into their
It's worth prejudice, né?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's for this week.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to interact with us so that we can see what is your view on this one episode the topic that we spoke about in this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.